Here at Paddy Power, we're the home of the Money Back Special, with some incredible offers every single week. Check out the website or app today. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Welcome along to the GAA Postcast in association with Paddy Power. I'm David Jennings from the Racing Post, and to preview this weekend's All-Ireland Hurling semi-finals, we've got Aidan Taggy Fogarty and Damien Fitzgerald from our sponsors Paddy Power. Now, I know it's hard to believe we're previewing All-Ireland semi-finals without Cork in either one of them. It's astonishing. I can't believe it. Here was me hoping to gloat about me being on Cork at 8-1, at 9-1, at 10-1, but unfortunately they are out and I have to lick my wounds. But before we get stuck into Limerick v Kilkenny and Wexford v Tipperary, we've got our 3 quick fire questions for our 2 panellists, and the first 3 are to you, Aidan Fogarty. And we've got to start with my beloved Cork. Absolute certainties for the 2019 Lee McCarthy. I told the world. So what I want to know is, and there better be a good answer here, what happened to Cork? And why have the current crop of incredible rebels not won All-Ireland?
Yeah, DJ, I was looking forward to come back from holidays, to be fair.
I'd say you were.
To answer this question. But look, I just think that they're all failings that we talked about them earlier on on the podcast, and we talked about the frailty in the back line. I think they haven't sturdied up that back line at all. If you look, say, if you take Owen Cadigan, for instance, he was full back. He suddenly became a big leader in the team this year and was last year as well. But 4 or 5 years ago, Owen Cadigan couldn't make that team. So now he's back in full back and becomes a leader. And I think just on the full back line itself, their high ball and their aggressive nature, they don't have a rock. They don't have a Dermot O'Sullivan. They don't have a kind of a John Gardner type of fella who's well able to hurl, but there's a bit of cutting them, a bit of fighting them, and a bit of, a bit of dirt. Like, you need a bit of aggression in the backs. They're all brilliant hurlers on the ball, well able to hurl, but there's no one you'd say, God, I'd hate to go in there and mark him. There's no one that stands out in that backline that really takes it by the scruff of the neck and put the forwards to ground. And then on the other end, you're talking about probably the best forward line maybe in the country when they all click together. Now, in fairness, Harnedy this year, his standards probably weren't as good as last year. So that's one definite factor as well. You have Horgan and Cadigan, who were sensational this year, especially Horgan. But in saying that, I think in a forward line, you still need a Mulliker. You need a Colin Fennelly. You need a Bonner Marr. You need a kind of fella to mix it up. Probably not the most stylish kind of a hurler, but gets his body in around it, wins kind of a dirty ball. If you look at the Cork forward line, they're all kind of nice, touchy hurlers, brilliant at taking scores, but they don't have that mix. And I think throughout the team as well, as I said, I talked about the back line already, but the forward line, they say it's brilliant forwards when you get going, but still I think they need a mix, and they just have too much of kind of nice hurlers. And really, when it's put to them, yes, they came at Kilkenny, and Kilkenny came back at him. They came back again, and Kilkenny kept coming back. And it was that frailty, that belief and that mindset of maybe the team kept coming back that, God, we're not going to get over this. And their style of play. Yes, they play a lovely brand of hurling, but they overdo it. I was at the mat in the first half, the first 20 minutes, they're all over Kilkenny. But all they had to do was put that ball into the full forward line because there was serious damage coming from it. But they were overplaying it in the middle third and they were getting blocked and hooked. And you could see Harnedy making their run and Horgan making their run, but it was too late. So a mix of everything like that, it's just their old phrases came back to haunt them.
Okay, this is not part of your 3 questions, but I just want one name. That's all I want, one name. Who will be the Cork manager in 2020? Just the name. You don't have to justify it. All I want is a name.
Oh, God, so difficult. They won't go back to Jimmy Barry. It'll be I can't say a name. It'll be inside Cork. Cork don't go out to their own county. It'll be inside Cork. They need...
Will it be Don Logue?
I don't think it'll be Don Logue. I don't think so. No, I don't think it'll be Don Logue. He's gone back into RTE. I don't think so. I think he plays the same kind of brand of hurling. I think they need some kind of more of a, maybe some at a kind of a club level that's doing well at club level that hasn't been on the radar at inter-county level. That's going to bring this Cork team just down to reality and bring it back to kind of a starting base.
Okie dokes. Time will tell. Okay, question number 2. Who is your favourite Sunday game hurling pundit?
Yeah, well, apart from all the Kilkenny boys, I'll have to mention that because I'll be in town over the weekend, so I'll be shocked if I don't say they're all brilliant. I'm not jealous at all, but they're all brilliant. But I like Michael Duignan. I think he calls it as it is. he has an opinion and he doesn't deviate from it. And he's a true GAA man. You know, the things he comes out with the North, he goes like he played minor, he played with his club at this level. He seems to know an awful lot about the whole GAA scene, about the underage and the clubs as well. And to be fair to Michael, I suppose I'm a bit biased. He always had good time for me over the years as well, and always give me a shout out. So for me, it's Michael Duggan.
There we go. We knew there was an ulterior motive there. Okay, and your third and final question: give us one outsider who might be a bit of value in the All-Star market.
Well, I was thinking about this, and you're thinking about the All-Star market. I mean, the All-Stars, I feel, are picked on quarter-final, semi-final, final.
Yeah, it starts now. It starts now.
Basically, yeah. It's strange. I remember Chad Fitz, he was corner forward for the first Leinster campaign, and he wasn't seen enough. Next thing is put him in midfield for a semi-final, final, and he got an All-Star. So maybe the things have changed, but I think it's starting now. So if you're looking at an outsider, I'd look at Kilkenny, and there's probably two. There's Conor Folkley at wing-back at 7-2. You know, poor enough maybe campaign. He's in midfield, but now since he's gone back wing back, he's been exceptional. Brilliant day last day. He's always getting a point or two from wing back as well. But on left wing, Richie Hogan at 7-1. Like if Kilkenny beat if Kilkenny beat Limerick on Saturday and Kilkenny get to an Ireland final and possibly even win it, what will they be talking about? They'll be talking about Richie Hogan coming back into the team. You know, he scored 1-2 the last day. If he performs on Saturday evening and maybe gets a goal and a point or whatever, it'll be all the talk of. Since Richie Hogan came back in the team, they turned him around. So 7-1 on Richie Hogan is an outside bet.
Oh, we like that. A bit of 7-1 about Richie Hogan. Okay, Damien Fitzgerald, your 3 quick fire questions. Number 1, how was last weekend from a Paddy Power perspective on the football front? What was your worst result?
Last weekend was good for us, but it was a very close run thing. The draw in the Kerry match. If Kerry had won that match, it would have been a very poor result with all the favourites, all the other favourites winning across the weekend with the Cumes and stuff. Yeah, so it was a good weekend last weekend, but we were glad that Michael Murphy put up over that last 3. Our worst individual result was probably Mayo. We laid them pretty heavily on match and handicap, so Meath let us down a bit 2 weeks in a row. They were well in the game, and then at the end...
You can blame our goalkeeper there, I think.
They might have to bring you in, David.
Oh, stop. Jeez, I'm still waiting. The phone is always switched on, Andy. Okay, question number 2. What was the biggest bet struck with Paddy Power last weekend, and who was it on?
The biggest bet we took last weekend was $8,000 on Tyrone at 1-4 in place. So it was just after they got the 2 goals or go ahead. So they didn't really pull ahead after that, but they kind of always looked like they were going to win.
And talk me through that process very quickly. So somebody tries to have $8,000 on at 1-4. Okay, so $8,000 on obviously to win 2. That comes in, do you go, right, we're going to take that, or is there a discussion? Because obviously when it's in play, it needs to be made, a decision needs to be made instantly. So do you just lay the bet straight away, or how does it work?
You generally, you try and do it very quickly. So obviously prices can change very quickly at that stage. So you just kind of make an instant decision, and we were happy to take it at the time.
Was it your call?
It was.
Okay, so you just lost Paddy Power $2,000. I hope you're listening, Paddy. Okay, question number 3. What is Paddy Power's worst result in the Hurling Championship at the moment, and how much do you stand to lose on that team?
Our worst result is Limerick. This has kind of changed in the last couple of weeks. Limerick and Tip were kind of equal losers, about $50,000 up until a couple of weeks ago. In the last couple of weeks, we've laid Limerick very, very heavily at 65. They're losing for around $100,000 now, so we've taken a good few big bets on them in the last couple of weeks. So punters seem to be really latching on to that 65, and you can see why, maybe defending Ireland champions, and we're obviously very impressive in the Munster finals, so we'll be hoping someone manages to beat them anyway.
Okay, so $100,000 loss if Limerick retain the Liam McCarthy. Okay, so moving on to this weekend's action, kicking off on Saturday. It's Croke Park at 6 o'clock. It's live on RTE and Sky Sports. It is defending champions Limerick against a rejuvenated Kilkenny side. Damien Fitzgerald from Paddy Power, can we have some prices and handicaps?
Yeah, it's 8-15 Limerick, 8-1 to draw, 2-1 Kilkenny. 3-point handicap, Limerick -3 is 11-10, 10-1 to handicap draw, and Kilkenny +3 is 5-6.
Aidan Fogarty, there's only one man to answer this question. What was the big difference between Kilkenny against Wexford and the Kilkenny side we saw against Cork? Poles apart.
Yeah, absolutely, DJ, poles apart. And the biggest thing that stood out for me was Kilkenny actually had a game plan. I think they took Wexford for granted in that Leinster final. I think they were going for goals too early. I think they said to themselves, right lads, we'll get goals against Wexford and we beat them and we'll bury them and that'll be the end of Wexford. But it didn't come true. And even towards the end, They were trying for goals too early, where they could have, got a draw out of that game. The 3 points on the board would have seen a draw. So they took Wexford for granted, and they changed their game plan then for Cork. They worked the ball through the lines, and instead of lumping it down to a full forward line, they played better ball into their forward line. And the backs then, in the Wexford game, the backs followed the Wexford forwards. They followed them right out the field, out to midfield. But in this case, you've seen Conor Fogarty, you've seen Killian Buckley. They went to the 50, but held their shape. So they held the 6 backs' shape. And when Cork started to run at them, then they hit them coming past the 50. So there was 2 things. They played the ball through the lines, and the backs kept their shape and a bit more structure to their gameplay, and they had a game plan. They respected Cork more than Wexford, I feel.
And tell me this, right? What was your last appearance for Kilkenny? What year?
My last appearance, 2014, in the All-Ireland final, the drawing game.
Okay, so 2014. So you're talking 5 years ago. That's an All-Ireland final. You were playing at the highest level. Now, this might be a tricky question to answer, but leading up to that game, tactically wise, now I know Cody is a motivator, and it's, every man for himself, but tactically, was there a master kind of game plan, or was it very much old school?
Genuinely, DJ, it was very much old school. Now, the way Cody operates is that he could be thinking all the tactical things, and I'm sure they are, and I'm sure they sit down together and they go through everything with a fine-tooth comb. But they tell the players certain things, and in the dressing room, they don't go on about this the other team too much, because you forget about your own game plan. Yes, they pick the team, and yes, I feel that they do put certain players on certain players. Really, when we drew that All-Ireland final, really, when we played the replay, it came down to the basics, and you might laugh at this, and it's cliche. It was just the hard work and the work rate, especially from the backs, because the backs were taken for 6 that day, that they close them down and just get in their faces and bring an intensity. And that's what Kilkenny do, and it's cliche, and it's been said 1,000 times. But there was no such game plan. Pádraig Maher is the leader for Tip. We put Eddie Brennan on in there a couple of years ago. That was one of it. Henry Shefflin out in the wing as well. That was another. But that's how they pick the team. They don't necessarily tell that in the dressing room. But it just keeps going on about intensity, work rate, and different things. And obviously, don't be wasteful with the ball. So, look, it's simple enough, to be fair, but that's what he does.
Yeah, it's a simple game at times. Damien, there's a lot of kind of hurling people, and I'm sure when you said, who's your biggest loser in the All-Ireland market, it was Limerick, and you stand to lose 100 grand. And there'd be a lot of people looking at odds for this game and looking at odds for the All-Ireland, and they would have seen Limerick in the Munster final, and they'd be saying to themselves, a bit like myself at the moment, kind of going, I obviously fancy Cork. I thought this might be the year where they'd really come good. But now that they haven't, I'm kind of saying to myself, is it not blatantly obvious that Limerick are just certainties for the All-Ireland now? And should they not be a lot shorter? Like, what would you say to people that are asking that question?
I think the thing to say is, if Limerick play the way they did in the Munster final against Tip, I think they're going to win the All-Ireland. And if they can get to that level of performance. But there's no guarantee that's going to happen. Like, they've played flat games this year as well. They were very flat first day out against Cork. And Munster champions have bad record in All-Ireland semi-finals recently. So I think if they perform like they did in the Munster final, I don't think any of the teams will be able to live with them. But there does have to be some doubt there. Like, Taggy probably doesn't think this, but two of the rows are hard to do for counties. Like, Kilkenny are really the only team that have managed in the last while. So I do think if they get over Sunday, they'll probably win the All-Ireland final. But I think Saturday is a very dangerous game for Limerick. And if there is a danger that they come out flat, and if they do that, I think Kilkenny will beat them, to be honest.
Well, somebody said to me the other day, Damien, they said that Limerick are as big as certainties for the hurling as Dublin are for the football. Is that bullshit?
I think it is. Yeah, I think I think they're a very good team, and they are clearly the best team if they really reach their highest level. But there's no guarantee they're going to reach their highest level. And I think the likes of Kilkenny and Tipperary are a lot closer to Limerick than maybe Donegal, Kerry are to Dublin. So yeah, they are worthy favourites, and I think on their best form, I don't think anyone can live with them. It's just a matter of whether they reach their best form, which there's no guarantees at this stage of the year.
Right, Aidan Fogarty, you've been brought onto this Racing Postcast for the last 2 years because we want to set you up for the Sunday game. We want you to be sitting in there beside Henry, with Joanne asking you questions. That's the reason we're building you up, okay? And the reason we got you on here was for your honesty. You don't let your heart rule your head. You say it as it is. You've often tipped against Kilkenny, so I want the truth. Who wins this match and why?
The money is better on this podcast than it is on the
Oh,
table.
BJ's, it's not.
God, who wins this and why? Look, Limerick are hot favourites, but Damien hit the nail on the head there. We're not so sure how they're going to come out in the semi-final. They came out in the Munster final and blew Tipperary away. They're capable of doing that. Kilkenny are coming, I think, at the right time. They're getting their forward line in better shape. Walter Welch has a beanie's bonnet now after being dropped the last day. Come on, scored 3 points. Richie Hogan seems to have a little bit of form. TJ Reid is really good. So, as far as Kilkenny's forwards are, I think they're really settled. They're probably maybe as good as the Limerick forwards. It's the Kilkenny backs I'm worried about. And Kilkenny backs aren't as good as the Limerick backs. I think the Limerick backs are very good and they could hold the Kilkenny forwards maybe to a lesser score. So, as I said, it's a difficult to call. You'd have to maybe go with Limerick because of the form. And I suppose we talked about this last show. We looked at Galway. Galway were certainties for the All-Ireland. They were the kingpins. They had all the traits. But I do feel that there's more legs in Limerick and they have a better panel than Galway there last year. So I'd be thinking Limerick, but just barely. But if they don't come out and perform to the levels they can, and if Kilkenny really get in their faces, I think Kilkenny can do it on the handicap. But as I said, I'm going to back. I'm going to go with me head, unfortunately, instead of my heart. I'm going to back Limerick, but just barely.
What a man. If the producers in the Sunday game are listening to this, they will say, there's a man we want. There's a big Kilkenny fan who gave Kilkenny supporters so many great days, and he's tipping Limerick. That's why you're on here. Damien Fitzgerald, is he right? Are Limerick going to win this match?
Yeah, I think just about. I think it's a hard enough one to call, and I would give Kilkenny a decent chance, but I think I just about fancy Limerick here. I think the Limerick full forward line will do a lot of damage against that Kilkenny full back line. I think if Kilkenny are going to win this game, I think they'll have to score a lot to win it. I can't really see the Kilkenny full back line holding that Limerick full forward line. So I just about give the nod to Limerick, but I do think Kilkenny have a chance here.
Okay, so we're expecting a close encounter. And the best bet on the Paddy Power coupon, Damien?
I like the 6-5 Limerick to win and both teams to score a goal. I think both teams will manage to score a goal, and I think Limerick will just about do it. So I think that 6-5 is a bit of value.
That's certainly value.
At a bit of bigger prices, Galan is 7-1 for man of the match. He's been kind of up and down this year, and he hasn't really put in the big performance. I think this Sunday could be the day that he puts in a really big performance. So 7-1 man match, Aaron Galan as well, I'll tip.
Lovely stuff, Damien. And Aidan Fogarty, your best bet on the coupon?
Yeah, my best bet coupon. I think Kilkenny have to really put it into them. I think they can win if Limerick don't turn up to their full potential. So I'll be backing Kilkenny on the handicap at +3 at 5-6.
Lovely stuff. Join us again in part 2 when we'll be previewing Wexford v Tipperary in the second All-Ireland semi-final on Sunday.
Friends, or maybe more. Earn a 20 quid free bet for every friend you refer to Paddy Power, thanks to our Friends with Benefits programme. Log in to your Paddy Power account and share your referral link to get started. Terms and conditions apply. 18+, begambleaware.org.
Welcome back to the GAA Postcast in association with Paddy Power. I'm David Jennings from the Racing Post, and I am once again joined by Aidan Taggy Fogarty and Damien Fitzgerald from our sponsors Paddy Power. And the second All-Ireland hurling semi-final is at 3:30 Crow Park on Sunday, live on RTE and Sky Sports. It is Leinster champions Wexford v Munster runners-up Tipperary, and it is the Munster runners-up who are favourites, Damien Fitzgerald.
Yeah, we're the exact same prices in both semi-finals, actually. Tipperary are 8-15, 8-1 to draw, 2-1 Wexford. Tip -3 is 11-10, 10-1 the handicap draw, and Wexford +3 is 5-6.
Aidan, what we really want to know is, who is the real Tipperary? Is it the one we saw who are absolutely flawless in the early rounds of Munster, or is it the one we saw who limped to defeat in the Munster final? Would the real Tipperary please stand up?
Yeah, exactly. And to be fair, DJ, it's a mix of both. And I think when Sheedy came in this year, I'd say that he said, right, Tipperary didn't even get out of the Munster Championship last year, didn't even qualify. So they put all their heart and soul into getting out of Munster and getting to a Munster final and trying to win it, get a bit of silverware. And they hit the ground running. They were sensational in all the matches up to the Munster final. But the only thing that stood out for me was when they're actually hit very hard in that Munster final. I was saying it all along, There's no one tackling them. There's no one putting the pressure on them. The Hawks, the forwards were allowed play. We're allowed to make the ball sing. No one up. And Cork didn't even mark them. Waterford, as we said, were poor enough in the Munster Championship as well. So then they got the challenge that everyone expected, and they failed at that hurdle. And that for me is the big thing about Tipperary, is that when they hit the intensity, that they're not able to keep up with it. The forwards, they don't have ball winners in that half forward line, and that's a pivotal point. The half forward line and half back line, that's the middle third. That's the famous middle third that we always talk about. That's the winning point of most games. And Sunday is going to be a battle. Davy Fitz is going to have these guys wound up. Colin Bonner said there's going to be 15 Bonner Mars coming out to play against Tipperary. It's going to be serious. So that's it. If Tip come up and bring up their intensity levels and be able to match, because they have the better hurlers than Wexford, but it's to match the intensity and to go through the battle, really. That's the thing about Sunday for Tipperary. If they can do that, they win, because they have the better hurlers. They're better able to take the scores out the field. They're cuter with the ball. But Wexford are going to come in an aggressiveness that's going to be out of this world. So it's hard to call.
Damien, are the layers not seriously underestimating Wexford here? We've seen what Kilkenny have done to an unbelievable Cork team. They've beaten them. Wexford beat them fair and square. And then all of a sudden you're seeing them big outsiders to beat a team who were hammered in their own provincial final. It's a little bit of a head scratcher on the betting front.
Yeah, maybe. You can definitely look at it that way. And Wexford's form this year does stack up. I think the thing about Wexford is, we were talking about Kilkenny earlier, maybe not being impressive against Wexford. I think Wexford just make other teams look bad. I think they're very hard to play against. I think just the amount of bodies around the middle third of the pitch, it makes other teams look bad. So Wexford, their form is there, and they've beaten Kilkenny, and they have, maybe they are underrated a bit. The one thing I would say with Wexford is, I just think the way they play, it kind of gives them little margin for error. I think they need things to go right for them. Even in the Leinster final, they took all their chances. Lee Chin scored all these frees, which doesn't happen every day. I think the one problem I would see with Wexford is they don't really have a goal threat, and that could be a problem here against Tip, because I think if Tip get 2 goals, I don't see how Wexford really are going to score enough to beat them. So I think Wexford they don't really have much margin for error. They have to stop other teams scoring goals, and they have to be on shooting days themselves. But they've done it so far, and you can't complain about anything they've done so far. So yeah, they're there, and I think on this year's form, they probably are overpriced a bit. It's probably kind of, maybe coming into this year, we weren't rating Wexford as highly as why they are 2-1 on Sunday.
So are you leaning towards Wexford then in the match betting?
Yeah, I think I'd be leaning towards Wexford. I think it's very hard to fancy Tip on their last 2 performances. I think they've been very flat, and since the loss of Bonner really seems to have blocked up their forwards. They don't seem to be able to win ball in the half forward line. If you look at there's probably struggles in their full back line, struggles in midfield, and struggles in their half forward line, which are
not a good combination.
A lot of different places to be having a problem in going into an All-Ireland semi-final. So yeah, maybe pick up their form in Munster, but I couldn't really bet on them after seeing their last 2 performances. So yeah, it'd be Wexford at 2-1 for me.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think Wexford at 2-1 is a cracking price. Aidan, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's the legs for Tipperary and the aggressive nature that they're going to come with. I think, do Tipperary have the legs? They're still relying on the old maybe source of Pádraig Mar. And if you look at the half back line, Ronan Mar and Pádraig Mar, we always said over the years that if you turn them and get a run on them, they don't like tracking back and they don't like getting back. Barry at full back is sceptical as well. They actually let him get the ball to deliver it up the field. So Wexford would have been looking at that as well. So I think Wexford at 2-1 is a serious bet. I think they're going to come with a running game through the middle. And I backed Tipperary last year. I was there. Look, they're going to come to farm. It will happen farm. They'll hit it at some time, but they never did. And I just feel, with the Munster final defeat and the performance against Laois, and the performance against Laois was never going to be a good game. If they won by 30 points, it was tip or back. If they lost by, if they won by 2 points, it was actually should have won better, more than that. So I just feel maybe that the energy's being sucked out of them a bit, and Wexford 2-1 is a great bet.
And Tipperary as well are one of these sides. If you do back Tipperary to short price and just say they're 2 points down with 5 minutes to go, they're not going to win, because they just don't have that that winning mentality to grind out games and win by a point and win dirty. Like they win by 25 lengths or they lose. They never win by a neck or a short head, don't they not?
No, absolutely. And like if you look at all the games, Barnum's final, they racked up to 30 points in all them games. So they were well ahead 10 minutes to go in all them games. But when it comes down to the crunch, they haven't got a player that'll stand up and grab it by the back of the back of the neck. Pádraig Maher in the back, he'll do it. But in the forwards, where you need scores to win matches and goals and someone to step up and win a ball, they don't have that fight. They don't have that fight or don't have that kind of intensity. Wexford, on the other hand, they've come through, like they drew against Galway, beat Kilkenny by a point. They've been there. They're on a roll. Their spirit is high. They're really believing into this Davy mentality. You know, it's Goliath kind of thing down the way. So I found there during the week, and all they talk about is Wexford. There's going to be 40,000 at it. Pressure's going to be on Croke Park. They failed up there in the Leinster final. You know, maybe they learned from that against Galway. You know, it's set up for Wexford. I think a little bit more. Like Tipperary just seemed flat, and I'm not sure if you're going to get that back. Sheedy is a factor though. If they buy into Sheedy and Sheedy is an aggressive nature, you know, and he brings that intensity to him. If he can do that, albeit, but I don't know. I just think Wexford, it's good bet for Wexford at 2-1. I just think that they have the momentum.
You know what it is? It's Hartlepool against Brave Inca. That's what it is. Tipperary are Hartlepool and Wexford are Brave Inca. They're the dogged, you know, tenacious, hard to pass kind of thing. And Tipperary are this flamboyant, strong travelling. If they win on the bridle. That's what it is. This is Hartlepool against Brave Inca. And I think we've 3 Brave Inca votes here. Aidan, what's the best bet on the Paddy Power coupon?
Yeah, well, we're talking about goals. And, you know, no team has scored more than 2 goals against Wexford. And Wexford don't incline to actually score goals themselves. So I think under 2.5 goals at 6-4, if Wexford are to win this game, is a good bet. And
okay,
Liam Ryan will be on Cannon. And Seamus Cannon is a goal scorer. Liam Ryan will pull and drag and upset him, so that's not a bad bet. 2.5 goals at 6-4.
Yeah, I like that. I wonder, could we be really adventurous here, Damien, and go for no goals, maybe the double figure price?
Yeah, no goals at 16s. I actually had the exact same thing as Taggy written down, under 2.5 goals at 6-4. Yeah, I think like only one Wexford game this year has gone over 2.5 goals, and that took a last minute free going in from Sean Moran against Dublin. Yeah, I think that's a good bet. My other bet, maybe, Taggy actually mentioned him as well. So Liam Ryan is 28-1 for man of the match. He's going to be on Callan, and I think if he keeps Callan quiet in a kind of a low-scoring, dogged game, I think 28-1 is maybe a big price. So that's at a bigger price.
You weren't sitting beside one another during the week in the Boar's Head, no? Talking about hurling. You've got very similar thoughts.
No, he wouldn't buy me a pint either. I wouldn't go.
Right, all that's left to do now is reveal our best bets of the weekend.
This will not be beaten.
Aidan Fogarty will kick off with you, your best bet of the weekend in the Hurling Championship.
Yeah, DJ, I was looking at it, and I'm going to go to the Kilkenny Limerick game, and I think a penalty to be awarded at 2-1 in that game is a good bet. Kilkenny will not give away goals too lightly. Paul Murphy is our culprit man. You know, he gave away the penalty the last day.
That's it. Hang him out to dry.
I marked him enough times anyway, so about time I can get my back on him.
Filthy.
But, yeah, look, and they won't like one goal, and they do tend to drag down that man for the penalty. And on the other end, Colin Fennelly is a battling ram, and he's just king at getting penalties. He just turns and he goes for goal, head down, and he's so strong, all you can do is bring him down. So a penalty be awarded at 2-1, and if you want to go all out, a penalty will be scored at 3-1, because you have TJ Reid and Aaron Gillan, who are great finishers. So, you know, that's the best of the weekend for me.
Okay, I like that. There's a bit of thought went into that one. We like that one. Damien Fitzgerald, your best bet of the weekend?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the under 2.5 goals in Wexford tip at 6-4.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's mine as well. Under 2.5 goals in Wexford v Tipperary. And that double, under 2.5 goals and a penalty to be awarded in Limerick v Kilkenny. That double will be enhanced on the Paddy Power website. So that's it for this week's show, folks. My thanks to Aidan Taggy Fogarty and to Damien Fitzgerald from our sponsors, Paddy Power. Don't forget to join us next week when we'll be previewing the last round of the Super 8s in the Football Championship.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Simply place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week, and you'll get a free £10 bet then next week. T&Cs apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.